son, brother, soldier, priest, mentor, and more. To many, he's Father or Msgr Harris. And to some, he's Uncle Martin. But to all, he's known as a man of great integrity, quiet humility, and loving generosity. In honor of 40 years of service to the Archdiocese of Washington and 25 years of dedication to the families of St. John's Parish, a tribute to Reverend Msgr Martin P. Harris. "40 years ago, on June 4th, the Most Reverend Patrick O'Boyle conferred the sacrament of holy orders on Reverend Martin P. Harris, and thus set him upon the road that ultimately brought him to St. John's Parish. Here, for 25 years, he has tirelessly served with loving concern and an uncommon sense of responsibility that has been characteristic of him since his youth. Born on October 18, 1923, to Mary and John Harris in Little Falls, New York, he was the oldest of 4 children. He had 2 brothers, Bernard and Joe, and a sister, Helen. Along with cousins, they were a close-knit group. He received a Catholic education, attending St. Mary's Academy in Little Falls, St. Francis de Sales School in Herkimer, and graduating from Herkimer High School in 1941. Martin Harris served in the Air Force in World War II, before going on to college and finally to seminary. Throughout everything, family was always important, and they all maintained close ties over the years and the miles. Even now, he is still very close with the children of his siblings.
He's a very generous person, as you all well know. He gives, and he doesn't take very well. We're working on that, but I don't think we're going to accomplish that one. He doesn't let us give very much. Uncle Mart was very good to my mother, and one of the more famous stories in our family goes along the line of my mom was about 13 years old and needed surgery. She needed her tonsils out, I believe, and they didn't have any money. They had no health benefits, no HMOs back then, and they didn't know what they were going to do, and she was pretty sick, and so Uncle Mart got a second job when he was in high school to pay for that. And a couple years later, when she was graduating and going to her senior prom, he bought her dress, and she thought she wasn't going to be able to go because of that. And he does these things, you know, no strings attached.
I say most of what I know about Uncle Mart is stories from Mom and the guys, and a lot of it's funny. But Uncle Martin has played a big role in our lives, all of our lives. So Mom always talked about him always being there, maybe not being there in person, but being there in spirit, and how he's always told each and every one of us to stick things out and go through it, and he'll be fine. There's a lot of wisdom in him, though he doesn't always speak all the time. One of the favorite things that I remember is when he came to the house and Mama told me he loves chicken, so I made chicken for him. And I said, "Here, Uncle Mart, here's some chicken just for you." And he kind of looked at it like, "Oh, chicken again?" And also watching him with the children, it was really fun to watch him because he'd sit there and do his crossword puzzles, and he'd have Josh and Teresa talk to each other, and then you watch them start getting a little fight going on, and he just kind of like snicker or laugh in the background, just like, "Yep, those are kids," and he just loved them all the more. And I just want to say, again, thank you very much, Uncle Mart, for everything and all that you mean to us, and we hope to have more memories with you.
My uncle's mother, our Nana, lived with us at the time I was about 15 years old, and from the time my brother and I were little boys, Uncle Mart and my father were kind of the standards, or the role models of what we were supposed to do. She would tell us how Uncle Mart went to work when he was a young boy so he could help provide for his family. He would always go out of his way to help his family, and he was always there for us. He never forgot his mother, which was very important to me as I was growing up. and my brother as well. He never forgot my brother or I, and he never forgot my father. We all had a wonderful, wonderful relationship.
A story that my father used to tell me that I always thought was really funny was when they were younger, they really looked a lot alike, my father and Father Harris. And if they weren't standing up so that you could see that one was tall and one was short, it was hard to tell them apart. And some of the girls in school used to talk to Father, thinking it was my father and not Father Harris. And he really didn't speak to them much or bother much with them. And when my father would go to speak to them later, oh, they would either ignore him or tell him he was stuck up, and he also suffered a few slaps in the face. And I always thought that that was really funny.
But he's a pretty special guy. We do love him quite a bit. We were touched last year when we came out there. My brother and I flew out there to kidnap him. He doesn't know this, and bring him back here to live with his family, but we realize that he is with his family. And that's all of you, and we are very grateful for the love and the care that you have for him.
In November of 1970, Father Harris received a phone call from Archbishop O'Boyle to come and see him. It was when Father Harris went to see Cardinal O'Boyle that he was receiving the news that Cardinal O'Boyle was sending him to St. John's in Hollywood to become pastor. And he was told that his responsibilities would be to care for the people, but most of all, he was responsible for the salvation of their souls. And certainly Father Harris, in the 25 years as pastor, certainly fulfilled the job, the mission that he was given by Cardinal O'Boyle. It is in this way that he has shown so much care and so much compassion. When he first came, it was a very small parish, about 350 families, and now we have grown to about 1,000 families. And in that time, he has worked so hard by helping with the physical plant, replacing new roofs, putting in air conditioning, painting, the usual fix-up that needs to be done on old buildings. But most importantly, he has worked very hard to give us a strong financial base. Father Harris is very talented in keeping the fiscal policies together, and in that way, he's been able to support one of his great loves, the school. How important it is. The school is our future. We train young men and women to become the future Christians of our church, of our faith. And so we train them in our Catholic school and give them what we need. Father Harris has also been dedicated to our CCD program. Over the years, that has grown from a very small program to over 280 students this past year. And in that way, he also provided for them and their spiritual training so that once again, they can take their place within our community by practicing their faith and witnessing to Jesus day in and day out. But Father Harris is a hard worker. He has worked so hard not only to bring about the big projects, but also on the little projects, walking around with his screwdrivers or his toolbox with all those things, running around and fixing things. And in that way, he has shown his actual participation in wanting to help our parish and to become all that it can be. But most importantly, in the spiritual side of things, single-handedly he has said the 4 masses on a weekend, funerals, weddings, all of those things. And he always reminds me that when we come together in the morning for the Mass at 8 o'clock, that this is the most important action of our day. As we celebrate the Mass, we celebrate what we're all about. In this way, he has shown me what it means to be a parish priest, by loving the people and serving them, but most of all, challenging them to grow in the grace and the faith of Jesus Christ, so that they might become the Christians he's created us to be.
Countless sacraments have been celebrated, and many joyous occasions have occurred during these 25 years. Though they number many, to each event and even to each day, Father Harris brings his own special form of sunshine, with his warmth, his smile, and his wonderful sense of humor.
I'll tell you the beauty about these, the end of the program, everything is set. And I do not give long sermons, do I? Somebody mentioned Redskins. I have failed here at St. John. You know why? Because a few Dallas fans still like it.
Everyone who knows Father Harris knows that he is really a die-hard Redskin fan. We pray for the Redskins in Mass. We had a fire department function one night, and Father Harris was supposed to give the invocation, and instead of saying a prayer, he said, let us all bow our heads now for a moment of silence for the Dallas Cowboys who lost to the Washington Redskins. Father Harris and I were talking about my daughter's new boyfriend is a Dallas Cowboy fan. And Father Harris just looked at her and just as seriously, without even cracking a smile, said, well, then you can't get married in the church, because he wasn't a Redskins fan and he just wouldn't do that.
Yes, Father Harris is well known for his sense of humor. but he also has a good sense of the serious. His day starts early and often ends late. He's a man of strong character, and it's no secret that he draws his strength from his faith.
This particular chalice was left here in the parish by Father Johnson. Now, in 1972, he came here for a Mass, and he was nearly 90 years old. And as I was talking with him, he told me that he had a chalice which was given to him by the parishioners of St. John's. And on the bottom of the chalice it says, given by the parishioners of St. John to congregation, March the 31st, 1929, Father J.M. Johnson, S.J. And I found out from one of our older parishioners living today, Mr. Philip Clark, who's now 97, 98 years old, that all the parishioners of that year got together, got rings and so forth, and was molded into this chalice. And Father Johnson requested that we would use this chalice on solemn occasions such as confirmations, Christmas, Easter, as we did when the Cardinal came. He used this chalice. So it goes back to 1929. I say you cannot help but look at these things, and the whole history surrounds you, and you realize in so very fervent terms that St. John's is truly the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and it will always be the same because it's based on our faith. Now this is my chalice that I'm getting ready for Mass. My mother's wedding ring's in the bottom of that. It was given by my family on the day of my ordination, June the 4th, 1955. When I think of this ring, I think of the story of St. Pius X when he became Pope. He showed his ring that he wore as a Pope. He says, "Mama, see my ring, I am now the Pope." And she says, "Giuseppe, see my ring. Without that, you wouldn't have your ring." And I often remember that when I said how much our families influence our lives. So I use this chalice every morning for Mass, given by my family, and my mother's wedding ring at the bottom.
When I was a little boy, I remember my mother taking me to the sacristy after Mass one morning to ask him a question. And Father Harris took a green chalice veil and put it over my head, and when he pulled it off, he said, "Young fella, you're going to be a priest one day." Father Harris probably doesn't remember that, and he probably doesn't remember a lot of the things that he's done that influence people. I wouldn't know how to become a priest without all the little things that he's done. Just his presence on the altar when I was a little boy, watching him as I was growing up, wanting to be like him. Even if I didn't understand what it was he was doing, I had to be like him. But then over the years, to grow up, to get to know him, to work for him, and finally to work with him, those are things that I'll carry with me forever, because he, probably more than anybody else besides my parents, has shaped me to be the man that I'm going to be, because he taught me first how to be a Catholic, and then how to be the priest that one day I hope to be, because he showed me what it means to be a priest and to be Christ just by his mere presence in my life.
As principal and as formerly a teacher at St. John's, I have firsthand knowledge of Father Harris's deep commitment to the school. We spent many afternoons talking when I was teaching, sometimes for hours, about life and the church and how things were run and how things could be run better, and what was important about all of that. And I think that's the main thing about Father Harris, is he has a deep sense of what's important, what we really need to do and what we're all about. And what we're all about is the future of the church. And he sees that in our school and in our students. This year we'll graduate our 25th class since Monsignor Harris became our pastor. His enthusiasm for the students is just as great now as I'm sure it was with the first class that came through the school. His love for the kids is evident as he comes through the buildings on his daily walks, sharing a story, a smile, and even a candy bar from time to time. Father Harris loves these kids, and they love him.
Father Harris is a great guide for the altar servers.
Father Harris is kind
And caring. He tells good stories.
He gives good candy bars.
He loves school. He's funny. He's a chemistry wizard.
Father Harris gives good candy bars.
He can really sing. Father Harris can fix anything. Father Harris is caring. Father Harris helps people.
Father Harris gives us good candy bars.
Father Harris rocks the house of God. He prays for snow days for us.
Father Harris has good candy bars.
Father Harris loves the Redskins.
Father Harris, what can I say? Father Harris is a cool dude.
Father Harris is really, really nice.
Father Harris loves kids. Father Harris really loves the people of his church.
Father Harris gives us good candy bars.
You look at Father Harris and you think of yesterday. But Father Harris is yesterday, he's today, and he's tomorrow.